Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Day 3 of the 2024 NFL Draft is well in motion. Howie Roseman has been extremely busy here in round 4, making a lot of moves, stockpiling a bevy of picks for the 2025 NFL Draft. And in the process, in round 4, at 127 overall, Roseman makes a fascinating selection in Clemson running back Will Shipley. Now, going into the draft, I thought that the running back spot behind Saquon Barkley was a sneaky need for Philadelphia. I think the Eagles here went with the best player available. They're getting yet another weapon on this Eagles offense. As you look ahead, you need another backup running back behind Saquon Barkley. You have Kenneth Gainwell, and the Eagles certainly trust him as a player who they drafted high out of Memphis, who has been a productive player. They utilize him on third downs and catching the ball out of the backfield. They also really trust him being a pass blocker. But he is entering the final year of his contract, so you have to start to look ahead a little bit. And Saquon Barkley, terrific athlete. We know about the ability. Home run hitter. The resume speaks for itself. He does have a little bit of an injury history, though. And that contract, it's a 2-year deal pretty much. $26 million in guaranteed money, $13 million per year. But he does have that injury history, and you don't want to really drive him into the ground game in, game out, and you want that change of pace back. And you want a different look. And you want to stockpile your squad with as many talented players as possible. And Philadelphia is doing that here with Will Shipley. And a player comp, he is kind of a poor man's Christian McCaffrey. He has good vision, good patience. He can make people miss. He's a really good threat in catching the ball out of the backfield. As a red zone weapon, you can line him up out of the slot. He is very similar size to Christian McCaffrey as well. This is an explosive athlete with really impressive burst who's making his way to Philadelphia. 3 years of fairly consistent production, especially on third down. And Saquon Barkley is a third down playmaker because of the dual threat nature to his game and the versatility that he has. But you're just forcing defenses to defend you in a multitude of ways, and you are stretching the field here with the composition of this roster from sideline to sideline, east-west, but also up and down and vertically with all of the weapons on this team. Now, Will Shipley is a major liability in pass protection. He needs to correct his fumbling issues. He does have kick return ability, and Boston Scott, he handled a lot of those abilities for Philadelphia last year, and it's an area where I think the Eagles need to get a little bit better and just a little bit more explosive. And maybe Will Shipley is going to be able to fulfill those duties as a rookie. But if you put the pill on the carpet and you fumble the football a lot, you're going to get your ass benched. So the pass protection issues, the turnover issues, some concerns. But there are a lot of strengths with this player. And a lot of people should be excited about this pick and the value of it at 127 after Howie Roseman moved back a couple of spots. Before we do a deep dive into Will Shipley, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have discussed every single selection that the Eagles have made throughout draft weekend. We're going to continue to do that. Draft grades to come as well. Mock drafts. We try to provide you with as informative, entertaining, insightful analysis as possible. And that analysis is coming up right around the corner. First, got to give a shout out and pay our bills. Thanks to our sponsor, GameTime. Best ticketing app, the only ticketing app that I use. In fact, make sure when you download the GameTime app, you filter to all-in pricing. Because when you do that, they're not going to hit you with the outrageous fees at checkout like some of the other fraudulent ticketing apps do, where you think that you're getting a great deal, and then you go to checkout, and those $50 tickets turn into $150 tickets. How many times has that happened to you? It's happened to me a lot. That's why I flushed those apps down the toilet. I deleted them off my phone, and the only one that I have is the GameTime app. I'm also a very busy guy. covering the NFL draft, covering the NBA. We're always hustling. We're content creators here at Chat Sports. So sometimes I don't know what I'm doing on the weekend because I got to catch my breath. I got to find my footing, but I love to go to sporting events, and I make those decisions at the last moment. Phillies games, Sixers games. Love to go to them. But with the GameTime app, they specialize in last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Phillies games, a hot ticket right now is the Phils, the Fightins, red hot right now. Philadelphia 76ers, New York Knicks, Game 4 on Sunday, Wells Fargo Center. That atmosphere, as the Sixers look to tie up that series at 2-2, is going to be electric after Joel Embiid dropped a 50-burger on Thursday night to make that series 2-1. $20 off. Use the code ChatSports. If you don't like to go to a sporting event, I don't know why you're watching the show, but also you can go to a concert, comedy show, theater event. GameTime has it all. $20 off. Code ChatSports. In this drafting of Will Shipley, Philadelphia trading back. They've had all these picks here in this fourth round and in day 3 that they've slid back, and in the process, they've compiled selections for 2025. And before we get to Will Shipley, how about what Howie Roseman is doing right now and what he's done in this draft? What if I told you at the start of this draft, before the draft started, that Philadelphia would come away with both Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean? You would have said I'm crazy. And what if I told you this? The looking ahead to next year, the Eagles' draft capital and cap situation is in a tremendous spot. A look at the Eagles' 2025 picks before we get to Shipley. They have their own picks in the first, second, third round. They traded with Miami today to get Miami's third. They have their own picks in the fourth and the fifth, the Texans' fifth, the Broncos' seventh, and the Saints' seventh. Philadelphia is also projected right now, and obviously this is fluid, to have $28.5 million in cap space in 2025, despite all of the big contracts they have handed out. Howie Roseman is a cap financial genius. I might ask him to take over my financial portfolio because I might become rich if Howie Roseman is controlling that. It's crazy what the Eagles are doing here, setting themselves up for success now and in the future. Getting back to Shipley here, really broke out onto the scene in 2022 when he had a great year. He's a junior, a younger player who's declaring after his junior year. He was a 5-star recruit and the number 2 running back in the 2021 recruiting class behind Travion Henderson. So a great get for Dabo Swinney. He goes to Clemson, freshman campaign, plays 10 games, 5 starts, was a second-team freshman All-American, led the team in rushing with 149 carries, 739 yards as a true freshman, 11 touchdowns. He also caught 16 passes, 116 yards. Year 2 started to turn some heads on the NFL draft radar, and he was on the NFL draft radar because he was a 5-star recruit. But what he did as a sophomore was impressive. An elusive player who was highly productive. 210 carries, nearly 1,200 rushing yards, 5.5 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns, and he added 38 catches for 242 yards. So he really can make plays happen as a runner, but also as a pass catcher out of the backfield, and you can line him up out of the slot. And then this past year, struggled a little bit with an injury, right? Didn't he have like an ankle injury to start the year? Producer Chip went to Clemson, diehard fan, of course, had 167 totes, 827 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Balanced, I like the vision, a little bit undersized, but 5'11", 206, 4.45, 40-yard dash speed. He did not run at the combine because he had a left knee injury on top of the ankle that he had during the year. He's at his best in the screen game. What does Philadelphia like to do? Utilize the screen game. I think that they can do more of that with quarterback Jalen Hurts, and they got away from that last year. And I thought that was a huge issue with the play calling from Brian Johnson, because what does the screen game do? It gives your quarterback an easy completion. you rely on the strength of your offensive line, which is very athletic, and they like to get downfield in space. They also like to play a little bit of bully ball. It helps your quarterback find a rhythm with those easy completions, but also it's an easy play to pick up a chunk. So now you have two backs in Saquon and in Will Shipley, who I think that you can use both on the field at the same time, who can both go out on wheels. One can be a running threat. One can be a receiving threat. They could both also line up in the slot too. And there was a play that I saw from Will Shipley in which he's running downfield, hurdles a defender, stays on his feet, maintains that balance and composure, and then continues to jet and accelerate up the sideline. Definitely has the mentality of an early down grinder, but again, he might not play a lot on early downs, at least early, because of the breakdowns in pass protection. And because of that lack of size, sometimes he can get a little bit run over. Here's what the Athletic's Dane Brugler had to say about him. Shipley only has average size, but runs with controlled athleticism, a competitive urgency in all areas of his game. Though he has the mentality of an early down grinder, the versatile skills fit best in a third down role and on special teams. So Will Shipley here to Philadelphia. Howie Roseman getting another weapon. I still want to see the Eagles take a wide receiver, and there are good wide receivers on the board for Philadelphia, and they still have some good draft picks at their disposal here that they can use maybe at that spot. Offensive line depth. They went with the surprise edge rusher and Jalen Hunt. Could you go backup defensive tackle? You know, you're good at corner. You're good at safety. Linebacker. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I believe, still on the board as of this recording. Brendan Rice still on the board too, I believe, if you want to go wide out. Who should the Eagles draft next? Drop those names down in the comment section. Hope you've all enjoyed our draft coverage. I certainly have here, being the host of this show.